Preview.
So here we are all together to talk about. Actually, we're gonna answer some questions that people they usually they have when relocating to, in our case, Portugal, and very direct. We're here all together to answer them. And first one is, what documents can I use to prove accommodation in Portugal? That's a good one, especially because it is, in my opinion, one of the most challenging requirements for the visa application. Good question. I don't know, guys, if you want to start, jump ahead with important about the question. I will join later. So whoever wants to start, just
Sure.
go ahead.
Like, I think first we should contact the consulate to make sure that what are the requirements they ask in that specific location, okay? Because in some places, you can apply for a residence visa with an Airbnb reservation or a hotel reservation. Normally, what they require is a long-term lease agreement or a property deed.
That's so interesting, Mateus, because it makes it even trickier because depending on where you apply, it may be different. But what you're saying is like maybe a majority of these visa centers or Portuguese consulates, they're going to accept the long-term rent, but there are some exceptions
Yes,
where
generally it needs to be a long-term lease agreement like in the US. Like if you're applying in the US, you need to provide a long-term lease agreement, 12 months, needs to be registered with the Portuguese tax authority or a property deed. But if you're applying in Australia, for example, they accept an Airbnb reservation, an Uniplaces reservation, but it needs to be for at least 1 year. Okay. But if you're applying in other countries, let me see, Pakistan, for example, they accept a short-term lease agreement or a short-term accommodation, like 4 months, because the visa is valid for 4 months. So after that, you're gonna apply for your residence permit. And when you apply for a residence permit in Portugal, you need to have a more permanent accommodation arrangement. So before that, in some places they accept a short term, but generally, and to make your application stronger, I would say that the safer route is having a long-term lease agreement.
Makes sense. What's your take on that, Michelle? Sorry.
No, in some cases, you can stay in someone's house to prove all the documentations of the landlord, of the host, for example.
Yeah, so in some consulates, they accept this invitation letter.
That's what I was going to ask. That's still accepted?
In some places.
In some places,
oh, it depends. Okay.
Yeah.
It's so tricky. I mean, it goes down to really sending an email if you're unsure to see, because when you're a visa applicant, you need to apply to a specific consulate or a specific center. And so it really comes down to emailing the center to see which one do they accept, right?
Yeah, sometimes the rules are not very clear and are not available online. The best course of action is certainly contacting the local authorities just to make sure that you have the correct documentation to apply for the visa.
And also just, I guess I don't know if, is there a specific visa that is, that people are required to have accommodation here, or if it goes to all visas, just so people can understand that if that requirement applies to their specific case.
Good point.
Yes. Generally, if you're applying for a residence visa, it doesn't matter if for a digital nomad or if for a passive income holder, the requirements normally are the same. But we can see that in the practice, normally the consulate, the authorities, they are more flexible when we are talking about digital nomad applicants, for example.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like, normally they don't ask for proof of funds in Portugal for digital nomads, for example, if you're applying alone. Okay, if you're applying with your family, you need. But if you're applying alone, normally it's not a big deal. Of course, they can ask for additional documents anytime, but they normally are more flexible because I think the authorities understands that if you are a digital nomad, you don't want to be stuck in a place. Okay, you'll be like exploring the country, so it doesn't make sense to ask for a long-term lease agreement if you are a digital nomad.
It's a different profile. Yeah,
a different profile. But again, it's just a matter of checking with the local authorities because they can analyze the law and the requirements differently.
Just to clarify something, so let's say I was an applicant and I was applying at the San Francisco VFS and I wanted to know, if they accepted. I have a friend in Portugal and with a valid residency, and I wanted to know if they could do that letter, the government letter where they accept for me to stay in their house. And I write them an email. How long does it take usually for them to write me back, would you say?
It will depend. Sometimes they don't, sometimes they won't reply.
Okay.
Yeah, it all depends on the place that you are applying, the consulate. There are some that are very responsive and others that they simply don't reply at all.
Then what do you do in that case? So I'm not sure. Do I risk it
No, you should definitely talk to a consultant, someone that have experience in that place, know how it works, so this person will be able to guide you.
Like here at Viv Europe, you would know.
Yes. Since we have a lot of clients from all over the world, so we have an idea on how each consulate operates.
So specifically San Francisco, like Michelle, what's your experience? Do they accept did they still accept that letter where somebody hosts me in Portugal or not?
San Francisco is difficult. I do not recommend a letter. I recommend the lease agreement, long-term lease agreement. Is San Francisco is quite a difficult there. It's not an easy process there.
Okay.
New York, we have a favorable outcomes when it comes to letter of an invitation letter. But I agree 100% with Michelle. I think San Francisco is one of the most difficult places to apply, not only in terms of documentation, but the process itself is taking longer.
I see.
Yeah, I guess.
Also, also UK, they accept the letter.
Oh, okay.
But
that's good to know.
It's not a easy consulate. You have to prove many documents from the host. Yeah.
So both London and Manchester, they're going to be accepting that letter, but it's still, you have to prove, very bureaucratic.
It's a good point, Michelle, because it's not just a matter of submitting a simple invitation letter. You have to prove that the host is the owner of the place, and then you have to submit all the documents related to this accommodation, like the property deed, the tax registration.
Sometimes utility bill. The name of the host.
Yeah, it's always good to notarize the letter, prove that the host can live in the country if it's not a citizen. So there are a lot of documents that you need to submit if you want to use a letter as a proof of accommodation.
Yeah, I guess there's, at least in the past, there was so many frauds and scams, right? To fake a letter, for example.
I remember.
Yeah, I mean, it does make sense in this scenario. Be a strict but requirement itself of having accommodation before the visa application. It's so problematic.
Yes.
Nothing we can do.
This question brought another question that people ask me a lot, which is, so I found someone to host me in Portugal, but this person, my friend, asking, what are the implications of me hosting these applicants, these 7 applicants? They're kind of worried. What kind of weight does that have on me? What are the implications? I never really know how to answer that. From my experience here at Viv Europe, what I see is that these people who are able to host, usually they don't even get a call from IMA, nothing really to check up, like, oh, are you really hosting John? But I don't know, could you tell me more about your experience as case managers?
I mean, they do need to sign a responsibility letter So there's, of course, responsibility. So they are responsible for hosting someone else. And the idea is that they will be staying with them and providing, I don't know, up to what point they need to be responsible, because I know that they need to provide not only accommodation, but also the, what
The means of
the means
subsistence.
of subsistence. Thank you, Mateus.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So it is quite a responsibility. I want even when
Yes.
my friends
Okay.
they ask me to host them to sign this document, I tend to try to
I
not
see.
be
Okay, I see.
that.
I see.
But I don't know if you guys have any additional comments on that.
Sometimes I understand like they don't have enough time to call the hosts to check the information, but they can definitely cross information. They can definitely have more information without calling.
I
Okay,
see.
so I would recommend to be very conservative if you are trying to use a letter, an invitation letter, only if you really know this person, you
I
know
see.
that it's reliable, you know, because it can cause you some problems because you are
Sure.
you have the responsibility to provide correct information. Okay,
Yeah, of course. It needs
and
to be.
and if the consulate discover that it's like not legit, you can even have legal implications.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Good point. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So changing topics a bit, there is another very popular question related to the requirements for the visa, and that's about the health insurance. People don't know if health insurance is one of the mandatory documents to apply for a visa. Do you guys
Yeah.
know how to deal with this?
This is actually a big misconception, Victor, because a lot of people who come to me, they're like 100% sure they need private health insurance to apply for a D-type visa to Portugal for their initial visa package. And they're really surprised when I tell them, actually, for the initial visa package, you don't need to get private health insurance right away. That's not mandatory. What you need is something called international travel insurance. And it's the last thing they should do on their visa package because it's an international travel insurance that should be valid from when they get their visa granted to, I believe, 6 months back, if I'm not mistaken. And Michelle and Mateus, please correct me. And then
12.
private 12. Wow.
Yeah, if
So
you're
this
applying the US,
changed.
it's 12.
It's 12.
Okay.
Oh
In
my
Australia, it's 4
goodness.
months.
I remember when
In
it was 4
Pakistan, it's
months.
4 months. Yes, because the initial
Okay.
visa is valid for 4 months. And then when you're in Portugal, you can either enroll in the public health system or hire a private health insurance. Okay. But in the US, you need for at least 12 months.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
then, yeah, I think what people get confused is you do that initial package, you go to your appointment, you hand that stuff over, and that's going to be where you have the international travel insurance.
Yes.
Okay, you get your visa granted, move to Portugal. We're going to have the IMA meeting. Now, for the IMA meeting, this is something that sometimes I hear different opinions here. For the IMA meeting, if I just have my international travel insurance and I'm registered in the public health, is it mandatory for me to get private for the IMA meeting?
No, it's not mandatory.
No.
If you have your número de utente, your SNS number, you don't need a private health insurance.
Okay.
You are covered in the country.
Okay. But many people still get it for the IMA. Am I correct? Or
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, because it's a choice. They want to do it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I would recommend to have both. You can have your número de utente, your SNS number, and a private health insurance.
And also in this scenario, so they will have the travel insurance. It's a 1-year travel insurance, the international health insurance, and maybe even the número de utente.
Yeah.
All
We're
covered.
super covered.
Super
Yeah,
covered.
you are
Yes.
super covered.
Yeah. I think it's people are really surprised. I agree with you, Mateus, on what you said earlier. Like, I believe you should have both public, which is very good in Portugal, and private, because price is so affordable here.
Mhm.
And there are certain things that are very good in the public health and certain things that it's better for you to have private. Like, in my opinion, when you have an emergency, I go to the private because I know I'm going to be seen. Like, if I'm very sick, if I'm, have a high fever, I go to the private. This is me, okay, in Lisbon. It also depends on the city.
Yes.
I go to the private because I know I'm going to be seen in an hour, something like that. I don't know if you guys agree.
No, for me, it's the opposite. Like when it's something very urgent, I go to the public because I know that I will be treated as a priority there. So I won't be waiting in the line for long hours. But if it's something more like casual, I will go to the private.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows, we do live in very different cities. So maybe this is something specific to the north. I don't know.
Or personal,
or personal. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Because the doctors that works for the private system, they also work for the public system. So if you have an emergency and you need to be attended very fast, I would go to the public.
I think maybe I wasn't clear. Like, of course, if it's an emergency, like, okay, I'm gonna knock on woods, but if something happens, like I'm in an accident, okay, and I'm bleeding,
broke your leg.
Yeah, okay, I'll go to public. Okay, what I mean is, like, the last time I went to the private, I had a virus, which made me very weak. I mean, I don't want to go into details, but I caused vomiting, and I went to private. It wasn't an emergency, like a life or death emergency.
I understand, because it requires a treatment. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, in this case, I would go to the private as well.
Exactly. Okay. That's what I meant. I don't mean like an emergency, life or death, public.
Okay. I see.
Emergency, I mean like for viruses and high fever.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have different concepts of emergency.
Yeah, sorry. Maybe I'm a little dramatic, but yes.
Okay, I have a question about the travel insurance. Can I cancel my travel insurance when I get my private insurance while I wait in IMA? I have
Good question.
Good question, yes. And I would say that yes, you can. You don't need when you are in Portugal as a resident, even if you are waiting for your IMA appointment and you are covered by a private health insurance, you don't need a travel insurance anymore.
Okay.
So you can.
Okay, that's good to know.
It's also good maybe just to double check on the, when you sign the travel insurance, if there is going to be any kind of obligation for you to stay, to keep the travel insurance. Maybe, you never know. But there's.
And Victor, sometimes it's even pointless canceling because you pay. Like you make one payment, like it's not a recurring payment. You don't pay monthly, so you have already paid. So you don't need to cancel.
Also, usually those are international travel insurance, so you can use even if you travel to anywhere else. If you go to Spain or Italy, you can. If it's an international like one, you should be able to use it for multiple purposes.
Yes, and I think this. Sorry, Rita, no, go ahead.
I was going to ask, is it a one-time payment that you do for the international travel insurance? It's not a monthly payment, right?
Normally, no.
Do you guys have an average? So this is another question that comes up. What's the average price? Usually from our applicants from the US, they ask me, what's the average price of the international travel insurance? Do you guys have that quote?
It depends. As usual, but I guess it's not that expensive. It depends.
A range,
maybe
like
for
a range.
For 1 year, that's going to be a bit more expensive. if I remember well, for some of our clients, but back then when I used to be more active, it was about 40 euros 50 per month or something like this.
No, I think she's asking about the travel insurance.
Travel insurance.
International, yeah.
International travel
The
insurance. Yeah.
full amount. I don't know.
I think it's around 700 euros, but it will depend on the size of the family, the age of the applicant.
I see. Okay. But a range of 700. Okay.
Yes. Sometimes it's cheaper. Okay.
Okay. That's good for them to have in mind, because that's something, yeah.
And I think this topic maybe lead us to the next one. If we can travel while we are waiting for our visa to be granted, or if we can leave Portugal when we apply or when we are waiting for our IMAN appointment. So
Good question.
What are your inputs? What are your inputs about it?
Yes.
Michelle, go ahead.
We do not recommend to travel. You have two situations, I think. You have the visa granted and two entries in Portugal. Okay. You can leave and back. Okay. And the second situation is while you're waiting your permit card. And if you have to travel, it's an emergency, I have to visit my family, you have to inform IMA through the contact form. Nowadays it's possible. And but wait, it's better to wait the card,
right?
Because you can it's better.
Okay.
I would add another scenario, like when you already applied and you are waiting for the card. So you have that temporary document, that paper with your photo, the number of the process, and you are waiting for the card to be delivered. The process has been already approved.
You
so
went
can
to your
I travel?
right.
Yeah. Can I leave Portugal or not? The answer is no. You need to wait until your document's ready, because this is not a travel document, okay? But of course, we need to have some flexibility here, because we understand the current scenario in Portugal, the huge backlog that IMA is facing. So we can see that they are a little bit more flexible now in terms of letting people leave the country if they have an emergency situation. But as Michelle said, you need to notify IMA formally. You need to have proof that you have notified IMA. And you have to opt for direct flights between Portugal and your destination. And when you are returning, avoid layovers in other Schengen countries.
Okay. Yeah. So just for like example purposes, again, so I got my visa granted, moved to Portugal, and waiting for my IMA appointment. That's when I need to do the notification if I want to leave. That's one point. And the other thing you were saying, from what I understand, is got my visa appointment, moved to Portugal, went to my IMA appointment, and just waiting for the card to arrive.
Yeah.
Also, it's best to wait for that card, but if I have to travel again, I notify IMA, and then I print that out, right?
Yes.
If I really need to travel, it should be like an emergency, not just for fun. If I mean,
just
because what Michelle was saying is like, ideally you wait. Right?
Wait, yes, it's better.
Yeah, okay. How long is it taking for that card? Sorry.
That's another good question.
It is a good question.
I was just gonna trying to understand the worst case scenario. So let's say you just left the country in this situation. What can happen, right? If you go to an airport, like let's say in France, and you say that I guess you will be able to leave the country in this scenario, but when you return to Portugal, that's the challenge, right? When you can face some resistance. what would you think is the best worst case scenario?
So there are two consequences. If you travel before your IM appointment, okay, and after your visa is expired, what happens is when you return to Portugal, the authorities, they can understand that you are no longer a resident, okay, that you have waived to your visa, and now you have entered as a tourist, and then you will not be able to apply for a residence permit. You know,
it's very serious.
Because it's very serious, because the residence visa is no longer valid because you have you broke the rules.
Okay.
You know,
you broke the rules.
of two entries, and then you returned. Your visa is no longer valid, so you have another entry stamp in your passport, so you are a tourist and not a resident anymore. And the other consequence is after your appointment at IMA. Okay. The problem is when you are returning to Portugal, they can simply deny your entry. Okay. Because you couldn't leave the country. So you are not in a regular situation. So they can deny your entry in Portugal. So these are the worst case scenario. First, losing your visa. Okay. And the second, after you have already applied for the residence permit, you're not able to return because you broke the rule.
So important to know this. I mean, if you don't do the contact form when it's an emergency, these are the consequences, and they're quite serious.
It's very serious. Yeah. And it's the problem is very discretionary. Like you have to be lucky enough to have someone, some authority, some official that understands your situation, okay, and allow you to stay in the country and don't cause any problem. So it all depends on the person that will attend you at the airport.
Is there? You did not ask any question, Rita. You can. Do you have?
Oh, okay.
Do you have?
I do. So a question that comes up a lot, it has to do with one of the mandatory documents for any kind of visa to Portugal, which is you do need a criminal record check. Okay, depending on what country you're applying from, those are, from different places. Like in the US, it's the FBI criminal record. In the UK, it's the ACRO, but it is mandatory. And it is a document that needs to be, it's time sensitive. So that's first tip for this document is, sorry, it's not a question. First, it's a tip. First tip for this document is don't get it right away. Okay, I have people come to me and they're like, I want to get started. Send me a contract. I already have my FBI criminal record check. And I'm like, oh, goodness.
Wait, please.
Why did you do that? I mean, I know that you want to be proactive and efficient and great, but it needs to be 3 months valid from the day of your visa appointment. So you'll have to get it again, right? And it is something you need to open and apostille. But anyway, the question is not that. The question that I get is people who come up to me and they say, listen, I committed a crime. It's going to show on my record. How is that going to impact whether I get the visa granted or not? And there are factors to consider here, right? I'm going to leave the question in the air for you guys to answer. What should you consider if you're an applicant who committed a crime? Is that going to impact the decision? There's the question.
Yes, it will impact depending on the crime you have committed, and depending on your status, your current status in your home country regarding this conviction. So if you have already paid for your crimes, and depending on what crime you have committed, it won't be a problem, okay? But in this case, we highly recommend to have this background check translated to Portuguese, okay? And have all the supporting court documents so the consulate can understand your current situation and make sure that you are now you have already paid for your crimes and you have learned from your mistakes, and you always have the chance to explain the situation more personal in your letter of intent.
Yeah.
So it's not a deal breaker. Okay, it's not a deal breaker, but you have to be cautious.
Okay.
Yeah, and depends on the case. I prepare a letter, a specific letter, um, about the case, about the sentence. It's helpful.
Yes.
Also, from what I understand, it's going to count if it was a crime committed a year ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago, right?
Okay.
So,
Yes.
right? Am I mistaken, or
No, you're right.
that's gonna
You're
count, right? Okay.
Yeah, because you cannot be penalized but by one crime that you have committed years ago and you have already paid for that. So yes, they analyze this.
Yeah.
And what have you done after that? Services for the community. So it all counts a lot.
Yeah. And we actually had more than one case, from what I remember, where a person committed one or two. Actually, you had someone who committed 3 crimes.
Yes.
And can you tell us about what happened with that?
Yeah, the visa was initially denied. Okay. But the consulate gives an opportunity to explain the situation. Okay. They grant you some time so you can address this issue and provide additional document. And that's what our client did. Okay. He provided us with more documents to prove that it was a long time ago, that he has learned from it, and that he is no longer paying for these crimes. Okay. And ultimately the first decision was reverted and the visa was approved. So as I said, it's not a deal breaker. You can still have opportunity to appeal this decision and explain the situation more deeply.
Yes.
In this sense, do you think that because people do ask about it, we can evaluate if the crime is serious enough to in the future be the reason for a visa being denied, us as someone who assisting people, or no, we just leave this to the authorities to evaluate how serious it is?
No, of course, I think we should evaluate, okay? But the final decision to move forward with the application or not is of clients. So they can decide if they want to move forward, even knowing that this can be an issue in the future or not. If I were them, I would try, because then they know I already have. So I would try to get an approval.
Yeah,
I guess this person who had this decision changed was really happy, right? Imagine the
He was.
yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
And one thing, like sometimes people are very embarrassed about
Yeah.
those
Yes.
things,
The
and
most of
they are
time,
not
yeah.
100% transparent. But it's very important to be transparent with your case manager so they can build a stronger case for you and address this issue before it becomes a problem.
That's really important because, I mean, there's no judgment. We all make mistakes, and it's best to tell us up front if you're going with Viv Europe so we can help, right? Like you said, you can elaborate. There's a part of the visa process where you write a letter. We help the client write a letter. That's where you can explain. We can build it up so that you're going to get your visa granted.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very good points. We are coming to the end of this talk. I mean, this was the first one. I can see that we have many questions to address.
We do.
And
Yes.
yeah, I just want to thank you guys for being here. I did enjoy a lot this first talk with you.
It was great.
It was.
Yes. Thank you, Victor. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. I loved it. And
Yeah.
we have so many more questions to come.
I guess the idea is to just to share with people our like in activity. You know, we are on dealing with those things on a daily basis, and not so you don't have just to rely on what you see online. This is legit.
Yes, and it's too much information online, and as everybody knows, not all of it is trustworthy.
Yeah.
No.
True.
And things are always changing, so you have to make sure that you have the most updated information. So it's not good to rely 100% on things that you read online.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you, guys. You have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks.